So kind of first start off the general role of film festivals, and it really depends on which film festival you go to. The Berlinale Film Festival, it's a really big industry film festival. So you have a lot of people, distributors, production companies, all coming to look at films, and the films that get submitted are wanting to be bought and distributed around the world. So the main goal of that kind of festival would be more business orientated. And then you have smaller film festivals like Slam Fest, which is, or Slam Dance? Slam Fest. It's in Sundance, during the Sundance Film Festival, and that one's mainly just for entertainment and kind of fun and different kind of films that usually aren't really looking for, I mean, they want people to see their films, but they're not looking to be bought by any means, and just kind of get their artwork out there. And historically, in the middle of the 1900s, I think the main big film festivals would be the Venice Film Festival, you have the one in Paris, you have Cannes, and then the Berlin Film Festival, kind of the main European ones. And they're kind of, the way they were mainly the main cultural point of film. Because back in the day, you couldn't see films online, or the films didn't really get around the world that much as they do today. And film festivals were kind of the key part to where you could really share your artwork and what you created in one spot. And a lot of them were just really big destination vacations. So people would go for vacation to go to a film festival, like in Cannes. It's nice weather, it's very nice there, cool country or city. And that was a big part of the whole cultural experience, is that people would go to one place in the world and watch films from all around the world. And I guess a cool fact about the Berlin Film Festival that I really like, that's kind of culturally interesting, is that during when Berlin was split into two parts, west and east, that they would project films onto buildings, so people on the east side could actually watch them, because they weren't really allowed to go over and see films like that. So these kind of aspects, I feel like they're mainly just cultural points, and people would go there to pretty much exchange knowledge, filmmaking knowledge, art knowledge, and stuff like that. So kind of drawing film festivals into cultural diplomacy, kind of the positive sides of it is that there are literally people from every corner of the world coming to one spot. And nowadays, I guess they have a lot of seminars, and it's really cool because it brings the filmmakers to the people that want to see the films. So you have, depending on which film festival, of course, you have the public audience, citizens that live here, go to the festival, and the films that they love, films that they want to see, the people that create them and star in them can go and they can meet them, talk to them about filmmaking in general, and thus exchanging knowledge and kind of having a cultural exchange in some manner, especially if we travel from a different country to a film festival. And other aspects of it is that really it's just one mega center for everything. It's so much different aspects. I mean, every film festival has different programs. You have the short films, documentaries, you have feature-length films, you have, I think the Berlinale Film has tons of different mini categories you can have. You can see all different kinds of films. And they have great workshops and stuff like that for people to come and learn from one another. And that's like, for me, I think what really hit me when I was studying here in Berlin 2 years ago, we had a class about film and artwork in cultural diplomacy. And what really drew me to about film is that comparing it to music or artwork, you could really get a story across and be able to see and hear and visually understand something that's going on in the movie. For example, I guess, let's see, for a film, a film I really like is Gegen die Wand, which is, I think, Head On in English. It's a German film, and it's about a Turkish guy living in Germany, has all his problems, and like, what's really cool is that they show a lot of the cultural aspect of the Turkish culture within Germany. And maybe watching, you might understand more about the Turkish culture itself. But films like that can really push kind of an agenda, or kind of, even though it's for entertainment, they have, important topics during that film. And that kind of really is the kind of cultural exchange from that. Other films such as that, it's a Korean film, spring, summer, fall, winter, summer, spring, yeah. Anyways, so, there's like it's about these Buddhist people I see people that live like in a house over the lake, and like there's a lot of Buddhism kind of traits to that. And like if you don't know anything about Buddhism, you kind of get interested in it because you're wondering why they're doing certain things in this film. So a lot of them are related to real life and so forth. But and kind of going to the negative sides of the cultural diplomacy in film festivals is that access is probably one of the biggest hindrances to a film festival. Not that there's not many people that go to film festivals. I mean, Berlinale has 300,000 people go to it every year. It's a huge audience. But the problem is that your average person can't really come to these film festivals and see films. They can't get the cultural exchange. Although the cultural exchange, like when you actually do go to it, it's very great. You can have, like going to, pretty much you're going to a different country or a different place and learning a lot more being physically there. So that the physical aspect of a film festival is what really makes a film festival and the cultural diplomacy and the cultural exchange really happen. But again, access, I mean, sometimes, like, I'm trying to go to certain films this year at Berlinale and they're all sold out. So there's like 3 showings of one film and I can't go to it. And that's kind of upsetting because sometimes maybe that film doesn't get bought by someone and I'll never be able to see it. Or, you know, because, I mean, some of these films you don't see unless they come out in DVD or are shown where where you are. So that's kind of like one of the bigger negative aspects of film festivals, in my opinion, especially for cultural diplomacy, when I think access is a very important part, and you want as many people to have the cultural exchange to get the greatest effect. And again, cultural elements of film, that's kind of what I talked about earlier, just the idea that when you watch a film, you do get some cultural education, cultural exchange. Many films these days are oft real-life topics, biopics, or actual documentaries about certain conflicts going on in the world which you might not know about. And seeing a film and you realize, or maybe it's a film about a conflict in the 70s and I'm only 24 and maybe I never heard of it and I learned about it and I'm like, oh, I didn't know that even happened. So then I'll look it up and kind of learn from that, not from that experience. And kind of where I'm going next is new methods of film festivals. And this is an idea that kind of came to me again while I was studying here 2 years ago. And I was talking about Netflix. If you don't know what Netflix is, they have it now in Germany and a lot of countries in Europe. Netflix is a streaming service to where you can watch tons of films. There's like thousands and thousands of films. You can watch on your computer, watch on your TV at home. And it really it kind of like canceled out the whole going to the movies. I mean, well, you still go to the movies, but like buying DVDs and having to actually go somewhere to watch movies. Now you have Netflix to where you can log on at home and just have an endless library of different movies to watch. And this is, I guess, more apparent in the Western part of the world, where it's mainly there. I think there's only about 16 or 17 countries that they operate in, and about 55 million people use it. And that's actually accounts. So if you think about it, like Netflix, you can share an account, so you can have like multiple people in one account, which means 55 million is how many accounts there are, but there could be, almost double that, not even double that, but I mean, a lot more people that actually use it. And so I kind of put this together and I'm like, the movies that Netflix has are older movies or ones that just came out, or they're even creating their own movies now and having their own kind of films come out on their streaming service. And what I really wanted to do is kind of bring that together. So the idea of a film festival and put it into something like Netflix or Fandor, which is a smaller version of Netflix that's it focuses more on independent films and foreign films. And also there's others like Amazon Prime or Hulu. They have other streaming services like that. And kind of the idea that I had is creating a film festival through those platforms is a way to get films that the normal person wouldn't normally see, would see. Maybe you could see them at a film festival, but that requires you going to a film festival when it's available and having time to watch it. And bringing a film festival to a platform like Netflix, you could instantly have 55 million people or however million people watch it instantly. And this is really important for if you want to do foreign films. That, let's say, for me living in the United States, I can't go to a theater, or I can't even go and buy a Nigerian film, a film from Senegal, a film from Iran, a film from China. You can't go and just do that. You're very limited. And And again, I'm talking more about within the United States, and even in Europe too. It's really difficult to find a really good African Asian film. And maybe there's films that you don't know exist, and you can't. It's really hard for you to know of a film and go get it, and or maybe you don't watch Nigerian films, but how do you know if you like them or not? You haven't seen them, and so putting something like that into a platform like Netflix, to where you have all your favorite films on there, but then you have all these different films. And my idea was to have maybe a 2-week kind of event to where you'd go on this site and you have films from every different, all different kinds of countries, and you could just go on there, watch it, see if you like it. And maybe you really like Nigerian films. Maybe you really like films from Egypt. You don't really know until you try it, and then once you watch it, maybe you're hooked on it, and then you're like, well, how do I get more? And so, and that was kind of like the new idea that I really wanted to implement to one of these organizations. But there are a lot of limitations to this. And again, what I said earlier is the location is a very important factor of a film festival, and you're getting a lot of your cultural exchange through the location. And how much, and kind of, I wrote my thesis on this for my master's, and the thing is how much can just watching a film really, give you that cultural education, that cultural exchange. And it's hard to tell, because every person's different. For me, I'm really into films, I'm really in different cultures, so when I watch a film that's different, I have to look everything up about it after I watch it. Like watching Nigerian films, if you didn't know, there's millions, there's so many Nigerian films, and so many films from Africa, but you'll never see a film from Africa in the United States, or maybe even in Europe, and they're really good films. You find some really good quality pieces of art that you wouldn't normally see. And even say there's a film from Senegal in the 1970s called Toki Buki. I can't probably pronounce it terrible. But this, I've never really, watched many African films. And watching this one, it was so astonishing because the film itself is about story and everything. Yeah, the story's great. And it kind of takes off the French Renaissance of film, kind of the revolutionary 70s French, Godard films. But what's really cool is that you see the lifestyle of people in Africa during that time. And that's something that I would never really know about unless I did watch that film and gain interest into it. So that's, again, the thing for me, personally, the cultural factor that I'm learning from these films is that I'm I'm seeing what life may have been like, even though it's entertainment, it's a film, but it doesn't mean it's not close to reality. And so a lot of this wanted me to get, how can we get these films that, at your film festival in Rwanda, you probably have a lot of Rwandan films, but how many of those films can get international? And having something like this to where you can submit it to this kind of company, and they'll have programs for African films, they'll have Asian films, stuff like that, and be able to put it into their program, and instantly you have millions of people watching it. And if you ask any filmmaker, what's the point of going to a film festival? Well, they want people to see their films. Maybe they do want it bought and distributed, but their main goal is they want people to enjoy their artwork. And using a method like this, making it available to as many people as possible, you can achieve that and also have a really good cultural base out of that and kind of learning from it. So, and for this is really important to me because being from the United States, you don't really have much, if you're not in the main city, the multiculturalism is not really there. And people, they have, their idea in their head from media, from all the news sources, it's just tainted by only conflict that we get there. And from Iowa, growing up, I only knew of conflict of the United States until I actually left the country and realized it's not that bad. And this, getting these films to the homes of people that wouldn't normally see them is my main goal for this and main idea and whatnot. So, and again, limitations, it is what it is, but I think just the amount of access and for people to see different films is really important, and that can be really beneficial culturally.